Welcome to the Abundant Accountant podcast. Today we have a very special episode. It's not just me speaking. Actually, Molly, part of the Abundant Accountant team, is going to be asking me questions, and we're turning this whole thing all around. But if you've created a firm and you feel like you have a job and you can't escape from it, you have no systems and no real plan and no freedom, then it's really time to make a shift. You shouldn't have to hit burnout to get to your next revenue goal. And you don't need more clients. You need better quality ones and a sales process to enroll them. Here at the Abundant Accountant, we'll show you how to package your services, raise your prices, and work with high margin clients who actually respect your time and your value. By the way, we're going to be talking about that today.
Ooh,
So,
we are.
before we dive in, go to theabundantcall.com if you want to lay out a roadmap that turns your firm into a real asset and not just a glorified job. So now let's welcome Molly from the Abundant Accountant team to the show. And Molly, why don't you share with everyone who you are and what you do here? Because they're probably wondering, what the heck is this episode all about?
Oh boy. Yes. Okay. So this episode was a special request from me to Michelle. I am the Chief Enrollment Officer here at the Abundant Accountant. So I am the one that is taking most of our enrollment calls here, our breakthrough calls rather, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. But I'll tell you the reason why I requested this episode is Michelle has done hundreds of these episodes. She interviews everybody. And when I'm on calls, I talk a lot about, her success and why she started the Abundant Accountant and what she saw and, really where it all started, where it came from, what her passions are. And so I told her we need to get on, do an episode, and have me interviewing her.
Yeah, so this is really fun. I'm very excited. So thank you, Molly, for being here and for coming up with this genius idea for everyone that wonders all of these things that you are going to ask me today.
Yep. Awesome. So I'll go back to a little bit more. I approached Michelle and I said, if you listen to our episode about the art and the science of enrollment, and if you have not listened to it, please go back and listen to it. But there is a language that accountants speak, and it is called accounting ease. And what's underneath that language that the accountants speak, accounting ease, to each other and ultimately to clients, is an epidemic we have at hand, which
Mhm.
is a overworking and under earning disease we feel. And Michelle started this entire company because she was on a crusade to eradicate that disease, because
Yes.
accountants are some of the most undervalued profession. And Michelle talked to you more about where she realized all of this, but I get on these calls day in and day out, and it's the same story. I feel undervalued. Clients don't understand why I should be paid what I deserve to be paid. But that isn't necessarily all your fault, right? There is an
No.
industry-wide problem of the accounting profession being transactional, right? I even got on
Yeah.
a call earlier this week that's like, oh, I'm going to charge by the transaction and blah, blah. And I said, stop,
God.
like, I can't. So I wanted Michelle first to tell you a little bit of background of like where she came up with the idea. And so you can understand, why we do what we do every single day and how we might be able to help you. So Michelle, give us your 6 years ago ideation, creation of the Abundant Accountant.
Okay. Well, let's just go back a little bit further because out of college, so I have a degree in finance and I really wanted to get into M&A work. And after college, I got a job at Moss Adams, which I'm sure many of you know is an accounting firm in the country, mid-sized firm. So I was in Seattle, Washington, sitting in a cubicle, just like some of you might be in a job, staring at a wall, going, I should probably be working for myself, but I don't know how. So after going to many partner meetings and getting myself out of the cubicle into the sales role, I realized that I wasn't meant to be sitting in the cubicle. So after about 3 years, I just quit and went into a different direction. but I knew what it was like working in an accounting firm, and I saw how hard people worked and how little they got paid because I was one of those people. So this disease of under earning and working too much is also a problem in the corporate world, which I'm sure many of you, if you've had a corporate job, knows what I'm talking about. You get paid a salary, but you're still working 60, 80 hours a week. So I said, okay, how am I going to take my mission to help more entrepreneurs? Because after that, I did real estate. I started my own food company. I pitched on Shark Tank in 2014. I got a lot of experience with sales. So, what, it's been 25 years, 30 years maybe? Oh gosh, that's a really long time. And I said, how do I help firm owners, mid sized, small solopreneurs, get enroll clients that are high value, high paying, get paid up front without doing it in a sleazy, pushy, or desperate way? And how do you have those empowering sales conversations where you can own your value, you can own your worth, you can increase your revenue? You don't need to work so hard for somebody else. And you also don't need to have a firm where you feel like you've created a glorified job for you, like I was sharing earlier. So I started with this degree in finance and as a job at Moss Adams as a financial analyst. That's where this kind of all began. And I knew from the jump from the corporate gig into entrepreneurship, there's a difference in mindset. There's a difference in running a business versus being an employee. And after that and realizing all of this, I learned, why is this industry doing everything backwards? Why are you sending out proposals and quotes and hoping that you get paid for them? Why are you even having AR in your business where you're not collecting interest, you're not collecting penalties? I mean, you're basically being a free bank. So, anyone with AR, you are a free bank right now. Last time I checked, there's no banks that don't charge for that. So I said, how can I take this like most radical leap and help change this industry? Because as a collective, we can all make a shift. If everyone changes their enrollment process, the way you sell, the way you generate revenue, that's all sales, then this whole industry could change.
Yep.
Your clients aren't going to be looking for the cheapest firm. They're not going to say, "Can you give me a deal?" They're not going to say, "I don't see why I should pay you so much when so and so is charging less. I don't know why you're increasing my fees because you've been doing it the same for the last however many years." All of that would come to a screeching halt if this overworking and under earning disease could get cured with a
Eradicated once and for
eradicate.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's where it started. I've done thousands of calls with firm owners, and many of them are, just uh, you don't have your stuff together with your finances, your books, your taxes, your bank account, your AR. So when it comes down to cash flow and pricing and profit, you feel stuck and ashamed. And I get it. You're not alone. So that's why I started the Abundant Accountant, specifically our 8-week sales mastery course, which all of this can change in literally an 8-week period. And you don't have to face it by yourself. You're with a community of other firm owners who are literally in your same shoes, and you learn how to position yourself, how to position your value, how to have confidence, having money conversations and asking clients to pay you for the money that you deserve to get paid for whatever the engagement is. If it's bookkeeping, monthly accounting, fractional CFO services, compliance, tax planning, tax resolution, it doesn't matter what you're selling, but it's how do you get past those fears that are holding you back right now? And
Mhm.
so that you have those empowering conversations and you can have the confidence and you don't have to feel awkward on every sales call or at every networking event, and how you charge and convert these clients into premium paying clients. And we started in 2018. We've helped thousands of firm owners. And if you go to our website or our Google review page, you can see how many people's lives have changed. And this is how we can cure this under earning and overworking disease.
Absolutely. And hopefully eradicate it once and for all.
Yes.
Because I mean, it really is something that's so prevalent in the industry. And I just want to acknowledge you, Michelle, because I've been with you, 4 out of these 6 years that you've been doing this. And you really do believe in this so strongly. Like
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and it kills you like when you'll look at the notes from my calls and it's like, oh gosh, like why couldn't we help this person? And 9 times out of 10, when somebody's a heck yes, I can't help them because their own finances are completely whacked and they're in credit
Mm-hmm.
card debt and their accountants. Like it's so sad and it kills you.
Yeah.
Like I know it does. You're like, we can't, what can we do? Is there anything that, you told me this person's perfect. I'm like, they're perfect. I want to help them so much, but we can't. They can't, make the investment in themselves today because they've gotten so sick from this disease is really what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And it
Yep.
starts with mindset. But what do you think it is like underneath the surface of,
Mm-hmm.
speaking accountingese, being in the mind of an accountant? Why do you think it's so prevalent in the industry overall? What is it about accountants, would you say?
Well, I love working with accountants, CPAs, EAs, bookkeepers, CFO, firm owners, tax resolution, you name it under the umbrella, right? Because you are all smart, you're systems driven, you like processes, you like procedures, you like step by steps, you like a proven system that gets replicated and you continue to get those results.
Yep.
And so I think that's the biggest thing is when you have a repeatable step by step process that's worked for many firm owners, it's just like doing the bookkeeping, or it's just like doing a tax return. And it's just like, doing the financial projections or your forecasting that you're doing, or your tax planning and reading the IRS code. You have a playbook to go by. It's just the problem is right now, you just don't have the system to follow. That's what's missing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the biggest things is understanding and having the proven strategy that also aligns with the human brain and really understand how people make buying decisions. And it's not your fault because you just haven't been taught this before.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing I always remind people on calls, when they get emotional, is you went to school for accounting.
Right.
You're better at QuickBooks, than anyone, and you can do these numbers in your sleep. You probably fall asleep thinking about your client's work and all of those things, but
Yep.
they've never learned sales. Like we're good at sales because that's what we set out to learn, and
Yep.
we've practiced and we've taken seminars and courses and all of that, and
Yeah.
it's so sad when the accountant wants to speak accountingese and explain what they do to their client in the sales call, right? And wants to
Yeah.
show their value by talking about the transactions and how much money they're gonna need to do these things. And
Yeah.
to me, it starts sounding like on these calls, it starts sounding like
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too, when you start speaking Accountanese or all this stuff, you end up giving away free advice.
Yep.
And then you feel yourself caving in, and then when it's time to actually say how much you want to charge a client or your price, you freeze up or you give a discount or you end up just doing it for free, or you do the work and you don't bill for it and then you don't even collect on it because you didn't even bill for it. And so it's just a domino effect that
Yep.
just goes down the tubes. And I think for many firm owners, you've got incredible technical skills, but zero structure around sales. And it's costing you thousands of dollars every single month because you don't have a sales system that actually converts and works. So that's what we really do here at the Abundant Accountant is so you can shift from speaking Accountanese, giving away your time for free, and learn how to command your value without being salesy, without being sleazy. And so you can use the exact words that you use in your everyday communication, but have a process to follow that actually converts. So you get paid up front and you get paid your worth.
Yeah, you said something too earlier when you were talking about the transition from corporate to firm owner. And
Yes.
I think what happens too is they see how their corporate companies are doing it, how they're billing other big
Mhm.
companies for their time. They're billing after, they're submitting hours, and they take that into their firm, and they overwork, and they answer every client call because it doesn't matter because they're getting a
They were on a salary.
right.
Yeah.
And so then they don't realize when they start their firm that that carries over, and there's just this expectation of society, I would say. And this is why, the epidemic of overworking and under earning exists for an accountant, right? That, oh, the accountant knows everything. They're going to solve all my problems. I can just call them over and over again with everything I need, and
Yeah.
they're tell me.
That's the expectation, but you bring this up, and I just was on our group coaching call today, and Tim, lovely gentleman, gave us an amazing testimonial. If you go to our Google reviews, you can see it there, or on our website, you can watch his video. But he went from overwhelmed and confused about his sales process, where he thought he had to give pricing sheets, menus, and he was in like a mid-tier corporate position, but he had his firm on the side, but he didn't have any freedom. He didn't have any time. His wife's like, I never see you. He never saw his kids, and he really wanted to get this firm to work. And he tried all this stuff for like a year. And then finally we had the call, our enrollment calls that we do with prospects. And he didn't even have the money to pay. He had to finance the investment, but he said, "You know what? This is my last shot. I'm just going to do it."
Yeah.
And in 8 weeks, he generated 15,000 of revenue. He created a clear sales process. He has total confidence in his value. He did a complete 180. So if you're in a corporate job, that was Tim. That's like a third of our clients are all in corporate, but you think you can just do this entrepreneurship thing, and
Wow.
that the way to sell your services is to speak accountanese or underprice and give a discount and all these other things that maybe you're used to doing, but your bank account is suffering. And, his wife basically told him, look, this is your last shot. If you don't get this, you're going to have a job. And he was helping one of his clients today, and it was a $20,000 engagement. He said, "Michelle, they only have 10,000. How do I get them to get the other 10?" I go, "Well, Tim, what's their alternative?" Just like when I did my call with Tim, he had to go finance this investment.
Oh,
He didn't have the money, he didn't have the cash, he didn't have a credit card. So we went
yep.
and got him that. And he's like, "I don't know, Michelle, their finances are such a mess. If they don't do this CFO advisory package and let me do their books and clean it up, like, they're gonna foreclose on their house. They are in that deep of water." I go, "Well, it sounds like you need to collect the 10 grand, help them finance the rest, and turn their whole life around because they're not gonna do it themselves." And he goes,
Right.
"Okay, I'm gonna go do that today." So,
Yep.
that's what happens when you're in a job versus creating, what is the saying? You're gonna figure it out after you jump. It's like, yeah, you have to jump
Deep and
off
the
the
net will appear.
what is it? How's it go?
And the net will appear.
Yeah, leap and the net will appear, and that's just a 180-degree thinking process than maybe how it's been going in
Mhm.
your job. And when your livelihood is on the line, and, Tim has a wife and kids and everything, his corporate job was very cush. He had it good. I think it was like 250 a year salary, everything, but he had no freedom. So it depends on what you want. Do you want to be a slave to somebody else and keep working your tail off? Or do you want freedom? Do you want flexibility? Do you want to travel? Do you want to just put yourself out of office versus have to request vacation time?
Take two
It's
months
up.
off in the summer with your kids. I
Yeah,
hear
like
that a lot.
like that's what's on the other side for you when you can get out of the corporate job mentality and start acting like a true entrepreneur.
So I thought of something else too when we were talking about why is this so prevalent with accountants. It's
Mhm.
the accounting brain that figures things out.
Yep.
Accountants are brilliant, and they'll dive into tax codes. And I remember Jocelyn that was in the program, was doing my taxes for a while, and she was going back to California, and she was going back, and
Yep.
she was so proud of herself that she figured something out that she didn't know. And I was like, okay, like I didn't care,
Mhm.
right? But she was so proud to tell me that she figured it out. And
Yep.
that ends up costing accountants when they're trying to start their firm. Okay. She's a different story. She went through the program and she went back and tried to figure it out. But when it's sales,
Hmm.
I always say that unconsciously we will enroll when we get excited about something or we feel frustrated about something. We enroll in
Yeah.
YouTube University without even realizing it. And I
Yeah.
say YouTube University encompasses, any social media content, whether it's TikTok, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, right? And then your algorithms are going to start showing you all the things that you should be doing or need to do, but they don't tell you how to do it. But what the
Yeah.
accountant does, okay, is they spend months and hours every night when they finally get home and they finally stop working and the work's done with the business they have on the side, or they're in their corporate job, or their firm is, so much AR, they'll type in how to
Hmm.
collect AR and there's all these YouTube videos. And that research ends up costing them so much more than any investment they would make with you. It's unbelievable the amount of money that we come.
Yeah, and I think, you have to do an inventory check on that. Until
Yep.
you really wanna solve the overarching problem, that's just what you're gonna continue to do. You're gonna fix one little piece, and that's literally what Tim was doing. He's like, "Oh, well, they're not paying me for this, so let me go get this tool." He felt that if he added more tech stuff to his tech stack in his firm, that was gonna solve getting money in the bank problem.
Nope.
And enrollment and sales is about making money. So if you want to make money, you have to go to the people that teach you how to make money.
Right.
And there's no one on YouTube. You can't really get that out of reading a lot of books. You can read a lot of books, but implementing it is a whole different ball game. You need
You know,
accountability, you need transformation, you
yep.
need to be you need to be held, like a light underneath your light a fire underneath you to get
Yeah,
this kind of work done. Otherwise, you would have already done it yourself. You would have figured it
absolutely.
out yourself. Mhm.
Absolutely. And we were talking before, obviously, preparing for this episode. And that's the other thing is YouTube University, all you will get there is more information.
Yes.
Period. End of story. Because when you invest in an actual program, us like in this case, a sales coaching program, okay, you are going to be held accountable. You are going
Yeah.
to get the transformation needed because you'll have the systems and processes in place and the mindset shift needed, which is at the core of our program, because
Yeah.
the mindset is usually the biggest problem. And I have to point out on breakthrough calls every single day these self-limiting beliefs that I hear of the accountant that is suffering. So, Michelle, tell me what those common signs are for a firm owner that they're suffering from this overworking and under-earning disease that we see in the accounting industry overall.
I mean, there's just so many. I would say not understanding your worth. I would say probably the biggest complaint you all hear from your prospects or current clients is I don't get your value. I don't see your value. I don't understand your worth. So really dissecting that is probably the most important part. But real quick to touch on the information thing, without accountability and transformation, you're just going to hit roadblocks. You're going to hit those mindset roadblocks. So part of what you're missing is having coaching and feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
so you just get caught up in busy work and more YouTube. And then, the algorithms take you down a wormhole. I'm sure you've heard of a YouTube wormhole.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no books and programs out there that you probably have and probably, haven't even used. If you go look in your email or the books on your shelf to try to solve these things, you've started and stopped them because
Right.
no one held you accountable to get past the fears that are in the way. So
Because
information.
they're
Mhm.
just concepts, Michelle. Like, oh,
Mhm.
and you read it and you feel so inspired after you read that book or
Yeah.
listen to that podcast, just like people not right now are doing. They're like, wow, Molly and Michelle, like this is great. Like, oh wow, they're speaking my language. Right. Okay.
Yeah, well, if we're speaking your language, then it's critical to have the support. So you should go to theabundantcall.com and schedule a call to talk to Molly if you're really serious. Because
Yep.
otherwise, this is just information. Because information without proper support does not lead to transformation.
That's right.
It is critical to have support. So our support line is over at theabundantcall.com, and that's how you can get past your limiting beliefs, get past your fears, stay true to what you want to change, and stay focused on your goals. Because when you invest in transformation, that's how you can walk through the steps and actually have a change.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're just going to stay stuck in the information cycle because without proper support of the identity blocks and what's stopping you, the information isn't key. The key
Okay.
comes from transformation, support, accountability, and I just wanted to add that in. But understanding your value and your worth is
Number
probably
one,
is the
they don't
number one thing.
understand my worth. It's
Yeah.
they want to give me a discount. Like they don't want to pay
Yeah.
me this and that. But if you don't understand your worth, right?
Yep.
How do you expect somebody else to? You know you have this inner knowing because you
Mhm.
graduated at the top of your class, and you know you can do tax code in
Yeah.
your sleep, and you can really help business owners save a ton of money with taxes, and put a tax plan together with your eyes closed. Absolutely, you're a great bookkeeper, or pay, all of those things. But the reality is, until you have seen the amount of hours you've spent, the amount of money you've invested in yourself in education, all of
Yep.
that stuff that Michelle has a brilliant system for, you won't know how to translate that exact thing, the hours, dollars, all of it, into a conversation that's going to convert that prospect into a high paying client.
Yep, and that's where firm owners get caught up in giving away all of their time for free.
Yep.
Time being answering emails, answering questions. I mean, you name it, I've heard it all up. I've heard everything. And so part of what we teach, because this is the foundation of being able to price, being able to create packages, etc., is really figuring out and learning your value system and
Mhm.
getting clear on what you are worth so you can show clients a step by step process to connect and communicate your value into the services that you're providing and how to do that.
Right.
So it's
And,
part of the
and
program that gives our clients their life back.
it,
Literally, they say it's life changing.
It literally is, because it opens your eyes to see like the colors that you've never seen before, because everything you're looking at is black and red on a spreadsheet, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so unbelievable. And then my favorite self-limiting belief, I don't want to miss this one.
What?
I heard it yesterday. I can't charge more because I'm not an EA. I'm not a CPA.
Oh,
I don't have
yeah.
my degree, but this person had been working in the accounting field for 30 years. And that,
Yeah,
oh,
your experience trumps any letters, and the more letters you
absolutely.
have to after your name doesn't help you get
Nope.
better clients. I have a finance degree and 25 or 30 years of sales experience selling paleo meatballs to real estate to mortgages to pitching on Shark Tank to getting $1 million investment from the vitamin shop to getting our products in Costco. Like I've sold everything, but that's not in my letters after my name
Nope.
because I have proof that what we do works. And that is the thing that brings value.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter if you're not an EA or CPA, you have to be confident in getting results for your clients. It's always
Yep.
about the outcome.
That's right.
And even if you're a new firm owner, guess what? We were all new. As a business owner, we all start at zero. Sorry
Mhm.
to say, but everyone starts at zero unless they're acquiring a firm. But even
But
those people that are acquiring a firm, they have a lot to change.
of course,
They're
and
buying, yeah.
no, you can't be confident in yourself, right? If you don't
Mhm.
know how to communicate your value. It's
Yeah.
that's where, like, it's like, wow, if you were sitting in that cubicle and you were handed all the work, you know that you can do it, and you know that you're going to do it really well, and you're going to be
You
so,
would have got a raise and you would have negotiated that.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the firm owners that finally get this, they're not up late responding to emails. They don't answer every call. They
Yep.
actually leave work early. They're not working 60 plus hours a week, burning the candle at both ends, working 12, 18-hour days.
Nope.
They are getting paid premiums, and if they want to work on the weekend, it's because they're getting paid a boatload of money.
Yep.
So our clients are able to spend time with their family, they leave work early, they have dinner with their kids, they go to soccer and baseball games, they go
Yep.
on vacations, And all of that is a result of owning your value,
100%.
because that's how you can make the change. And this is if you're brand spanking new firm owner, or you've been around for 10 or 20 years and you're
Yep.
like, man, I work really hard, but this is not the recipe that I was waiting for. This is not how it should be going.
Yep.
And, that's really what you have to do if you're really ready to elevate your firm. You have
Yep.
to make these changes.
Yep. And you have to learn the things. You have to get out of your comfort zone because that's
Yes.
another mindset belief, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't sell, I can't be in sales. And I'm talking to these people. I've never got on the phone. Okay, that's not true. Okay. If I'm being real honest, there's been a few conversations that were so dry and painful. I'm like, ugh. And I
Yeah.
remember one ended up enrolling, and I was like, really? Like, holy
Oh,
moly. But for the
yeah.
most part, I get on the phone and I have these incredible conversations with accountants. Like, they're personable, they're friendly, they want to help, they want to understand,
Mhm.
they're really not just brilliant people,
Yeah.
but kind and giving, right? Which
Mhm.
ends up costing them too. We're going to do a whole different
Yeah.
episode on that as we were brainstorming earlier. However,
Yeah.
the belief that I can't sell, I can't sell. I hate sales. I don't have the
Mhm.
personality for sales. I don't like it. That's just a self-limiting belief because
Yeah.
every call I get on, I have great conversations with people. And that's when I have to explain there's no sales is all in your head. It's just a belief that you don't understand. If you learn how to have a conversation and you learn enrollment, so again, go back and listen to the
Yeah.
episode of the art and science of enrollment, right? You'll never have to sell again a day in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is I have worked with the most introverted, left brain, bookkeeping, tax, CFO, accounting, tax, bookkeeping, you name it, firm owners, okay? And the more introverted and the more left brain you are, the better, because you love processes and systems.
Yep.
And if you want to be in control of your time and you want your calendar filled with high value work where you're actually excited to do the work because you're getting paid so much money and you have so much revenue in your bank account that you can hire a high level CPA or EA or bookkeeper to
Yep.
take off some of the stuff off your plate, and you're getting paid up front before you even lift a finger and do any work, and your firm finally supports the life you want to live, I just want to tell you it's possible. And you don't have to do it alone, because it's not that you need more clients. You just need better systems and a way to confidently sell your value.
Which is working on the business and
Yep.
not in the business, right? If you
Yep.
can take, an hour a day to
Yep.
break some of these mindset, self-limiting beliefs that you have, work on that mindset,
Yep.
okay? And you can really wrap your head around the fact that you're not alone.
Yeah.
You
You're
are
not.
suffering from a disease of
Hmm.
overworking and under earning, which is a epidemic prevalent in the entire industry, okay?
Hmm.
If you want to break that cycle, okay, it is as simple as working with us to
Yeah.
really see your value so that you can help more people and not just help the business owners, help other accountants break the cycle as
Oh,
well.
yeah, this is an industry-wide problem.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're a firm and you're bringing in 10,000 a month and you're still stuck working nights and weekends to try to keep this whole thing running, and it's really time to stop burning yourself out, there is a smarter and more sustainable way to run your firm. And it's one that lets you keep the best clients. You can release all the time wasters. You can fill your calendar with the high value work, like I mentioned earlier, and the clients that actually pay you what you're truly worth. So you can imagine this, right? Ending your workday early, reclaiming your weekends to do whatever you want on your terms, and taking a real vacation without your laptop, without your firm falling apart while you're gone, by the way.
Michelle,
And
I'm listening like as if I was an accountant.
mhm,
And I have a feeling, and I'm going to speak to you, this person that I'm hearing through they're like, BS.
Yeah.
I know,
It
I
sounds
hear you because I
it
hear it all
sounds too
the time.
good to be true,
It
right?
sounds too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
no way, no one's ever going to value me.
Yeah.
My client that pays me the most calls me all the time, and how am I ever going to get him out of that cycle? I
I
think
get
about
it.
Nairit
I
recently
get it.
enrolled her over a year ago, and she was, I mean, on our call, she was telling me the sob
Yeah.
story upon sob story and telling me there's no way. She was
Yeah.
arguing with me. There's no way that they're going to, that I can charge more. There's
Yeah.
no way, Molly. There's no way that I can stop work
Mhm.
at 6 o'clock and have dinner ready for my husband. There's no way, that there's this and that. I'm like, fine, Nairi, you have a choice at this time.
Yeah.
Like, you have a choice to believe that it's possible to do something else. Michelle, do you remember when Michelle and I met, for everybody who doesn't know, in a transformational training program
Yeah.
where we were held accountable and do all these things. And they told us we had to become possibilitarians. Do you remember that, Michelle?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Possibilitarians. I was like, what's that word? It sounds like something out of that play I just saw, Wicked. A
Yeah.
possibilitarian.
Yeah. Like they should have some like dancing thing
Yeah.
that goes around it. But really, if it's on those calls that I ask accountants to become possibilitarians, right?
Okay. I like
It's
that.
possible to completely change the way that you've been thinking and doing it since you left your corporate job, because that's what
Yeah.
happens. That's the first step, right? When you started your firm, you took all your bad habits from your
Mhm.
corporate job and started a firm, and you overworked and you still got underpaid. And in fact, a lot of times the accountants are making less money than they were when they had corporate jobs working for
Yeah.
themselves, which is
Yeah,
so sad.
and honestly, I so the question really is, if it's too good to be true, then the question really is are you sick and tired of being overworked, underpaid, slaving away for a boss somewhere, not having clients pay you on time, discounting your services? Because you can hide behind it's too good to be true.
Mhm.
But Andrea, another client of ours today on the call, she was stuck with like wasting time, and she reclaimed
Mm.
her time, and she reclaimed her her whole team's time, and finally felt relief because she implemented a step-by-step sales process that her and she has about a team of 5 people. Or like I was sharing, Tim, he thought he needed to use sales menus and tech and other things and was just totally overwhelmed and confused, and I tried over a year to figure it out. And in 8 weeks, he added 15,000 of revenue and has confidence in a repeatable sales process. Or there's John. He's still in our 8-week sales mastery course. He's on week number 5. He's added 20,000 of additional revenue. He's doubled his prices without working more hours. And
John
that
that I
just
enrolled?
I don't know. John,
I-
I'm not sure. We had like 2 or 3 Johns
Okay, so maybe
lately.
not.
So so that's the real thing, is that is it too good to be true, or are you just gonna hide behind that? Because either way, to me and Molly and our team, it doesn't matter. We don't care either way. You can just keep that as an excuse because it doesn't affect our life at all, but it can affect you, and it can make a sure change in this industry, in the under earning disease, and getting rid of it all
Yeah.
completely.
And
So,
it's joining the crusade, really.
yeah,
Like it doesn't affect our life, but we do. Michelle and I have a check-in call on Fridays, and bless her heart, I'm not always on time, and I don't always have my report done because I am a true salesperson, and like admin is just not my thing.
no,
However, when we
definitely
do,
not.
we talk about all of the calls that we've had
Mhm.
my calls prior to the week, and we
Yeah.
discuss it. And every week there's 2 or 3. If I couldn't get them enrolled, I'm like heartbroken because
Yeah.
somebody that would be so good in our program, and they either were too scared to make the investment. They thought it was too good to be true. They couldn't wrap their heads around
Yeah.
that it's possible to do something different, which is the craziest part to me. It's like, and I don't know, Michelle, if it took
Yeah.
us going to that transformational training where we met, that we really, for more context for everyone, it was a really intense program, a leadership training program. And so we were given feedback a lot, and we had to really
Mm-hmm.
take ourselves on in ways that we didn't see all of our self-limiting beliefs. And I don't know if it was that shifted me, to see or be able to see other people's own self-limiting
Yeah,
beliefs, because
maybe.
I faced my own, and I really got honest with myself about the stories I was making up in my head, which is one of the favorite things I get to point out on calls to people is that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they're never going to understand what I do because they don't understand accounting, so they don't understand my value. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, no. The other thing that Michelle and I learned in this training program was I'm 100% responsible 100% of the time. And that's
Always.
the biggest mindset shift that we work through in the abundant accountant with you guys, is that it is absolutely, if you want to help this potential client, it is absolutely your responsibility on the front end, on that first discovery call, to help them understand how you're going to save them time, money, and headspace. And you
Yep.
have to be able to speak sales psychology, because it is your responsibility to learn how to work on the business, learn how to enroll
Mm-hmm.
somebody into the vision of what's possible for their own lives when
Yep.
they use you as an accountant, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I just want to put this out there for those of you who want to end your overworking and under earning disease so you can excel in this industry and help the collective. Because if you continue to give away free advice and you continue to cave in on price and you continue to not bill clients and you continue to collect AR, you're only hurting yourself. But I want you to know you're not alone. And most firm owners, like I shared earlier, have technical skills, but zero structure around sales. And it's costing you thousands of dollars every single month. So, here
Well,
at the Abundant Accountant, we'll help you shift from giving away your time to commanding your value without feeling sleazy or pushy. And you'll know the exact words to say on a sales call so you never freeze up. So make sure to schedule your call, grab the first spot you see at theabundantcall.com and book your free strategy call. And let's turn your conversations into conversions.
yes.
And, should you find your discussion valuable with myself, Molly, or Denise on our team, and you wish to collaborate further, we will outline with you how we can work together to implement these strategies. And you will have an exact roadmap
Yep.
of what to do next. And if you prefer to proceed independently, that's perfectly fine. What we do is we part as friends, and perhaps you'll think of some referrals in the future. But remember, the only missed opportunity is not taking action.
That's right.
So I suggest you go to theabundantcall.com, grab the first spot you see, and we look forward to speaking to some of you who want to end the overworking and under earning disease that is prevalent in the accounting and tax industry today.
Michelle, I looked up the word epidemic. Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
really want to leave everyone with this. All right.
Okay.
The word epidemic, which is the overworking and under-earning disease that we see in the accounting industry, it is an epidemic. It's a
Mhm.
widespread occurrence of an infectious disease in a community at a particular time.
Yep.
That is why Michelle started the Abundant Accountant from the beginning. She
Yep.
saw the epidemic. So you have a choice today. You either continue to spread this disease, which is an
Mhm.
infectious disease that not only affects your firm,
Mhm.
your employees, it affects your families. It affects the industry as a whole,
Yep.
right? So we
It
can
does.
jump on a call, you and I, book it right now if you are finally ready to make the changes that you need to make in your firm, and you can help us eradicate this epidemic. The reason Michelle started the Abundant Accountant overall.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Molly, for doing this. Really appreciate it. It's
So
been
fun.
fun. And we look forward to speaking to some of you who are, maybe you're doing 10,000 a month and you don't understand how you're working so hard for so little money. And if that's you, then head on over to theabundantcall.com. We'll talk to some of you soon and we'll see you in the next episode.